This morning has been intense already. It's been intense. If you know it, you know it. Pastor, thank you so much, sir. I'm tempted to speak like Uncle Bola this morning. Oh, that's what, may your name be blessed. Now I know what Bola was saying. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Pastor Shola and everybody, thank you so much, sirs. And my now brother, Pastor David, where's Pastor David? That has been he's carried me around, and it's been an amazing, he's made my stay in Lagos very, very fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. Honestly, Dominion City, you are blessed with amazing pastors. Amazing pastors. Thank you so much, sirs. Everybody that I've connected with, it's just been amazing. And this morning, I'll just attempt to tie up a few things and hopefully give you a roadmap that can guide you for the next year or two as you invest in personal growth, as you work. The truth is, these things cannot be covered. I mean, it's a whole package. But what I attempt to do this morning is just to give you a guide and say, okay, this is the signpost. I'm going to start from Luke chapter 2, verse 52. Sir? No, I don't have a book yet. Thank you, sir. Actually, now this is prophetic. People have asked me. So what I do, I run it in coaching programs with people. I take people on the journey, like 6 months coaching. But people have asked me, write these things into book. I'll write them. All right, thank you very much, sir. Luke chapter 2, verse 52. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. And Jesus grew. That's what some scriptures say. And Jesus grew in what? Wisdom, stature, favor with God and man. We've been talking about growth. And sometimes we grow. We invest in growth and we grow. What I want to start with this morning is showing you the different domains that you need to pay attention to when you are growing, so that your growth will show and so that your growth will be sustainable. So important domains for growth. Now, if you're going to have balance in growth, Jesus grew. What was the first thing he grew in? Wisdom. And we have dealt with issues of wisdom from yesterday. Knowledge, information. You can only do what you know how to do. So you need to go for information, you need to go for knowledge, you need to go for wisdom, buy the truth, and all of those. So as you are growing and you are getting wiser and you are understanding your industry better and you're understanding your domain and your sphere of influence, there's a second path that when we don't pay attention to, it affects the first one. Because you can grow in wisdom and your wisdom is increasing, but your stature is not matching your wisdom. So though you have wisdom, you don't have the stature to attract men to the wisdom. So Jesus knew things, but imagine Jesus trying to do the things that he did as a 7-year-old boy. So it didn't matter that he had understanding, he needed to have the stature. And in today's world, when I talk about stature, it's not just physical stature. You remember the story of when Samuel went to anoint David? That conversation he had with God, that he said something, God said something, and said, no, I don't look at the outer appearance, I look at the heart. I said on the first day, God dropped a small cheat code there. Man looks at the outward appearance. Me, God, I look at the heart. If you flip it, what does it say? It is only me that looks at heart. As far as man is concerned, it's outward appearance they are looking at. So, when you have paid attention to wisdom and you have wisdom, the package in which you wrap the wisdom matters. So some of us, we acquire knowledge, but we don't have the container in which to put that knowledge. Yesterday, I told you what the university professor head told us. He said 2 things: content and container. So some of us, see, none of them will work alone. If you have good content and bad container, the world will not buy because they are not looking. Before they taste the content, the container needs to be shiny. So branding, packaging, it matters. On the other side, if you have good container and you have rubbish inside, they will buy once. And after they taste rubbish, are there not times you've had so much expectation of something, of a product, sometimes even of people? And then when you're like, no, the packaging is more than the content, you're like, I know I was disappointed. That's what happens when people pay attention to container without content. And you see, the way the world works, you just have to pay serious attention to the packaging. I told you I wrote books. This was me writing educational books, curricular books. I spent years working on this. I was telling Pastor the other day in the car, I think it was Pastor David, I said, those books took me almost 3 years to work on. Because I was not just writing books, I'm building curriculum with no reference point, no framework. So for every lesson I do, I have to go and test it in class and teach this lesson. Does this work? As I'm teaching these kids and I'm explaining something, then I discover, there's something they need to have understood for them to understand this. So one lesson has to come before this. Of course, you know the way it works. You use knowledge to interpret knowledge. There are things that if you have not understood, higher things will not make sense. This is me. After doing all of this work, the books were not selling. I thought I would just, once I put out the book, I would say, finally somebody has done this book. Until I went for a workshop one day. Because the books were not selling. I said, what do I need to do to sell these books? Apparently the knowledge to sell this book, the book is valid, but nobody is buying the books. Why? And that's when somebody dropped one line. For that entire workshop I went for. By the way, that workshop was in Lagos. It was a one-day workshop. I flew to Lagos to come and attend a one-day workshop for self-published authors on how to sell their books. Because my books were not selling. And like I said yesterday, any area you are struggling, it simply means there's knowledge you don't have. Leave the problem, go for the knowledge. So I came to find out, how do you sell books that are not selling? And then the guy dropped one line. That was the line that delivered me. When he said, people don't buy books. They buy authors. I just left there and said, David, see your problem. Nobody knows your name. How can they buy your book? What do I need to do to solve this problem? Implication. Personal branding. I went to look for personal branding coach. Up until that point, I had never paid a personal coach in millions. But this lady, they say she's the best in the space, she does this and all of that. Why am I saying this? Sometimes we need to intentionally invest. Not sometimes. In fact, it's not a matter of, so let me remove the sometimes. As your knowledge grows, you need to invest in the container. Grow in stature. There are things that all of us know, but nobody will invite us to come and say them. Do you know why? Because you don't have the stature for the platforms that they are looking for. I watched meetings. I watched United Nations. The other day I was watching. It was Tony Elumelu at the United Nations. They asked me a question. They said, who are your 3 heroes? And he said, Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs. I mentioned somebody. And they were clapping. And I'm like, what has he said that they are clapping for? If you ask me the same question and I mention the same names, you will not clap. Meaning, it's not what he said they are clapping for. It's who said it they are clapping for. So there are things that you will come and say on this stage. We're like, okay, we hear you. Pastor will say them, and it is deep. You know why? Because the stature to say it is there. You are saying, you are like, that wisdom, the stature the wisdom and the stature, they don't match. So sometimes the reason why your wisdom is not being appreciated around the world is because you've not given it the right stature. Your business has fantastic products, but has packaging problem. And when I say packaging, not just the content not just the wrapper. I run an office. I run a software office. And we have been carrying our head this and that, as tech guys, where we work does not matter. And one day, we were having issues, and one of us inside the office asked us the question and said, come, guys, if somebody wants to give us a 2 billion naira contract and enters this office, will he give us? We look at the office and say, no, if it is us, he will not give us. Because if I have 2 billion naira contract, my company, at that point, I will not give it. Why? You don't look like it. You don't look like you can manage that kind of resources. So, as far as the world is concerned, the packaging. So, as you are growing, wisdom is important. What are you doing with your person, with your stature, with your image, with your brand? How will the world perceive you? How does the world see you? How do you present yourself to the world? And it has to do with even the things you think are not spiritual. In fact, this part is not even spiritual. But that is what drives those other parts. So pay attention to those things. Sometimes, part of the packaging, some of the schools you have on your bio that have been to that school, is part of the packaging. There are some schools you go to, not for the knowledge, but for the label. It's part of container. I'm a Harvard alumni. That one alone has silenced a lot of rubbish. Even if what I'm saying has no reference to Harvard. The fact that I have gone to Harvard makes me believe that, no, this guy must know what he's talking about. Do you know why I went to go and start PhD? My wife had a PhD like 7 years ago. Me, I used to tell her that, no, I don't need PhD. I can't be, I'll better be a master of many than a doctor of one. They will invite her to come and speak in places where I'm the one that will prepare her note. The knowledge is my own, but it's doctor they are inviting. In their mind, this guy, waiting, you know now. And when they give her, they're like, baby, no, this is your top. This is you they are looking for. The brain is your own. But so I say, okay. Now, so this in the work, ba? Okay. She been at school. We'll go. Even if I don't need the title, I don't need the knowledge, but at least let me also have the stature. This year, pay attention to your container. Find something. Make sure that when people meet you, they can't treat you like that because you don't look like that. And I'm not saying physical death. Your everything, the way you package yourself, the way you just present, make sure it attracts the attention. And the third part, Jesus grew. He didn't just grow in wisdom and stature. He grew in what? Favor with. Why didn't he stop with favor with God alone? Because you see, in this world, God alone needs to like you. God needs to like you. You need favor with God. But favor with God alone is not enough. In fact, the proof that you have favor with God, because when a man's ways please the Lord, even his enemies, why is God particular about even your enemies liking you? Because this world, as far as this world is concerned, you can't go far if people don't like you. It doesn't matter how anointed you are. There's a level you get to. Anointing is not what to get into the room. People are looking at me. Please give me John chapter 18. Let me show you something. John chapter 18. I think it's verse 15. I'm going to show you something here. This is the story of when Jesus was arrested. And Peter, look at this. They arrested Jesus, so taking him. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. What happened to Simon? But Peter had to wait outside at the door. Now, hold on. Who did Jesus give the keys to the church to? Thou art Peter. Upon this rock, I shall build my church. Anointed Peter reached somewhere. They don't know him for gates. They block him. See, the other disciple who was known to the high priest came back and spoke to the servant girl on duty and brought Peter in. His anointing, a small girl ended it at the door. Because they don't know him here. The guy who was known came back and said, you see that guy? I know him. Let him in. And see who? It's not the high priest that let him in. Who did? The servant girl. Sometimes the wisdom is there. The stature is there. But the connection that needs to make the dots happen are not there. So as you're growing, favor with men. Favor with men. And Pastor dealt with that this morning. See those small things, Pastor? Honor. Those kind of things. Those are the things that give you favor with men. Just make them do something that make them say, oh, if it is that boy, if it is that girl, no, not my person. And sometimes it's not the big people, it's the small people. In fact, if you want to get Nigeria's hack, right? You see those boys on the street. If those guys are on your side, you are good, though. And it does not take much to make them your friends. Really, it does not take much. As they are passing, hey, Oga Twale, how many day? 6, 5K. Those boys will hail you. The day your car is spoiled, nobody will touch your car. They will protect you. Just small things. Do you remember the story of when Jesus turned water to wine? That's Cana of Galilee. The chairman of the occasion was clueless. All the men on the high table didn't even know what was happening. Who knew the secret? The servants. This is for wisdom for entrepreneurs. You are a big high CEO. Those people at the bottom, your cleaners, your security, they know things that you don't know. You need to find a way to have ears on the ground to hear from them. So what you will do to connect with them at the bottom? I mean, the chairman said, "Oh, who does this? You prepare the good wine save it for the last." Man was just talking rubbish that he did not know. I'm sure the guys carrying the pot will be like, "Yeah, we know what's up here." So there are so many times, I know how many times in the estate where I run business, they'll be selling a property in the estate. It's my gate man that comes and say, "Sir, that house, they won't sell them." Me, where I am, the wind, I don't catch wind of that kind of thing. But you see, it's my gate man. There's nothing on that street he does not know. My ability to connect with him at that level gives me access at some levels. So there are some things you do. You move into a new location, you rent a new office. Find out who is the DPO here. Sir, I just came to register presence to greet you. Of course, you don't go to the police station empty-handed. Whether you are the one that meets them or the one that meets you, something must leave you. Don't see it as a problem. Have a budget for it. It is part of getting favor with men. Because there are some problems that are not big. You just need the right person to call and the problem will disappear. It's part of the growth process. Pay attention to three. As you are growing, wisdom, stature, and favor. Very important. Now, give me the next slide. There's this formula that, I didn't invent this formula. One of my mentors taught me this. But this formula has changed a lot of things and I have seen it work magic wonders. The formula for personal success is three things. What you know, plus how you express what you know, multiplied by who you know and who knows you. It's on the screen. What you know, plus how you express what you know, multiplied by who you know and who knows you. This thing can take you almost anywhere you want to get to. The first box there is your knowledge still, what you know. You cannot do what you don't know. You cannot operate in a domain you don't understand. So yes, you need to be good at whatever it is you are doing. What you know is important, and we have dealt with that already. So I don't want to spend much time talking about what you know again. You have gone for knowledge, you have gone for courses, you have read books, you have acquired skills, you've done stuff, you know things, you are good at this, you are a good expert in your area. That alone will not give you success. How you express what you know is important. Because experts that nobody knows, is that one expert? You are in a dark room and you are winking, you are giving me eye signal, but we can't see ourselves. How do I know you are winking at me? So people need to know that you know what you know. And how they do is your ability to express what you know. Now, this is a different set of skill sets that you need. There are skills that give you your expertise, but there are skills you need to acquire just for being able to express what you know. This is where skills like communication comes in. You can be good in your head, but you can't speak. So when you start taking training that enables you to express what you know. There are some of you, the training you need to attend in this year is not in your field anymore. It's public speaking. How do you stand on a stage and communicate your ideas with clarity? How do you take that thing you are doing and put it out there? I mean, yesterday, I was seeing money inside this room. You see that thing Bola did here? How to do that seedling? That's a course. With one camera and that thing, you will sell that course. People be buying. You don't need, just put a camera there and just say, today I want to show you how to do seedling for tomato tomorrow, and you do a bouquet of courses. Now you will say, but there are many on YouTube. No problem. The YouTube guy, do you have his number? But if you buy my own, when the thing hook you, you can call me. I have tilted the game. But the ability to and now what I'm saying is, many of you here are good at so many things, but the world does not know because you've not been able to express it. You'll be amazed if you know the things people pay money for. People pay money for things you think are very trivial. I've seen people pay money for somebody to come and teach them how to combine color for curtain in their house. Color combination for curtain. They are paying, people are consulting for that. In fact, when you look at the skills you have, Sometimes you'll be amazed. I can't forget. One of the first corporate trainings I ever did, when I went to train a company, the thing I went to train for, if I tell you, you'll be shocked. In my CV, if I have CV, that is not one skill I put on my CV. What is the thing? You see this thing, making slides. Companies have flown me to come and teach their staff how to make slides. And when the first time they called me, in fact, I made a presentation somewhere. And this CEO, I walked to me and said, what does it take for me to make presentations with beautiful slides like this? In fact, this one, the system has changed my font. So it's still looking, but at least we can see what we're doing. And I told him, in fact, the first time I wanted to say, but there are courses online. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. There are no courses online. I'm the course. I am the course. He said, can you do that? I said, why not? This is what I do. I mean, and he said, what was it going to cost us? I said, don't worry, my HR will call you. HR called me and said, the CEO said, blah, blah, blah. They flew me to Lagos, put me in a hotel, gave me 3 days. They shut down Lagos branch, Abuja branch, Ibadan branch, got everybody to join on Zoom Lagos. 3 days, what was I teaching them? How to make slides with Canva. It shocked you? When I finished and they gave me check, I knew that the Lord was good. Skill I have, but now ability to express it. I just gave it a name: Slide Creation Masterclass. Finish. And suddenly it had a premium. Many of you know things, but you cannot express to the world what you know. That may be where the problem is. Some of the things you tell people for free, they come to your office and they just you, and many things. I'm not saying start charging your friends. And you know the reason why many of you cannot charge for your wisdom is because you've not turned your wisdom into products and services. You've not turned your wisdom into products, packages, and services. I will explain that. Paper is paper. But you don't buy paper. You buy products made out of paper. You only buy paper as envelope, as notebook, as jotter, as plain sheet. If paper in the roll, they just put a dump of paper here, nobody will buy it. But someone takes that paper and turns it to what people need. It becomes products and services. Your wisdom needs to be packaged in ways that it can solve people's problems that they can buy in bits. That is expressing what you know. Then, but the last part, who you know and who knows you. You see, the first part, between number 1 and number 2, is addition. But by that number 3, what does it become? Multiplication. This is simply talking about your network. It is who you know that will amplify what you know. You can be the smartest person in the world. If people don't know that you are smart, they will be having the problem you can solve, but they don't even have access to you. It does not matter how much wisdom I have, how much knowledge I have. If somebody did not tell Pastor about David, there's no way I'll be here. If that person who knows me and knows Pastor is a link man, but if that person does not know what I know, even when Pastor says, help me with somebody, he cannot link me because he does not know that I know it, even if he knows who needs me. Do you see the connection? So you are saying, but these people are not my clients. They know your clients. So it's important that they know what you know. So that when they find somebody who needs what you know, they become the link. So many of us are belittling the people around us because they don't look like your ideal customer. Many of us, the reason why we have gotten stuck, the answer is here. Just take this formula to anything you are doing. Today, when I talk about my products, I talk about them. In fact, when we started our school, we didn't have access to the kind of clients. We're targeting the elite middle class. We didn't have access to them. But anybody who comes, whether you came as a photographer, when I finish pitching to you, you go and call that your uncle, that is my customer, and you tell him, I found the school that your child should go to. So in reality, the first set of people that were coming, in the city of Uyo, you will never see a billboard with our school name. We've never done a billboard. The last time we printed flyers was 10 years ago, when we took flyers for our crèche to antenatal centers. Because when we were looking for children, we say, okay, all these pregnant women, they have children now. In 5-6 months, they will born these children. After 3 months, and maternity is finishing, they will look for daycare. So 8 months in advance, take our flyer. So we're going to antenatal center to share flyer for crèche. Of course, it didn't show in 2-3 months, but after 6-7 months, it started coming to us. When I was pregnant, you gave me flyer. That was the last time we did flyers. Since that time, it's been somebody telling somebody, somebody telling somebody, somebody telling somebody. So, who you know, your network, the people that know you, people that have access to you, people that know what you know, there are places that only somebody can take you to. There are many rooms. You saw that story of Peter. There are many rooms that won't open to you because of what you know, but will open to you because of who you know and who knows you. So, as you start this journey of growth, as you embark on this journey and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in the coming year. I want to focus on this. I'm just going to give you some domains to start with. Because you're thinking, oh, Mr. David, don't overwhelm. You've said so many things. Where do we start from? Where do we focus on? I'll give you 4 domains. If you can find resources in these domains, pay attention to them, and tell yourself, I want to intentionally grow in these areas, I can guarantee you that the next 1 year, 18 months, you will not be recognizable. People, if you follow through, it's not even about shouting amen. If you do these things, remember it's this, become, do, and the rest is result. What's the first domain to pay attention to? Domain number 1, mastery of yourself and your mind. As in self-mastery, mind mastery. You need to put yourself on a new kind of autopilot. On the first day, I said, we run on autopilot. We don't realize that we are not thinking. Our mind runs on an autopilot system. Decisions, auto-suggest, subconscious mind is working. How do I take control of myself such that the software running my life is a different one? So I am not the one controlling my decisions. My subconscious mind does. But I need to determine the kind of thinking my mind wants to think. So you need to invest in the kind of resources that will shape your mind, shape your thinking. And these are some very simple things. So your mind, your thinking, and I don't know if I said this yesterday or the day before. The primary tool for programming your mind are the things you see and the things you hear. So you heard when Pastor said, now he has filled his office with images. What do you think he's doing? Programming the mind through the eye gates. Your body has 2 gates, the eye gate, the ear gate. The things you see and hear consistently will get into your life, and you just realize that they are the ones controlling you. So this year, tell yourself, what are the kind of things I want to see, the kind of things I want to hear. Sometimes you will need to invest in that vision. Sometimes just go to a place and just sit down there and just soak it all in. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I just go to a hotel. One of these 5 nice hotels. And really, I have discovered this secret also. When I want to do deep work, high quality intellectual work, I don't do it from my house. Until I got to a point where I could make my house look like the place that was giving me that inspiration. What I used to do, I will go to a hotel. Nice, they pay the money. Just stay there. Once you enter the place, there's like the gates of heaven just open at a particular... I don't know how it works, but you see, poverty there's something that poverty does. There's something that the kind of thinking you will think when the generator is doing from the other side and you have open windows so that air can enter, you are sweating, there's no light. How can your brain work? So there's something that thing does to your mind. And let me stay on this side. Mastery of self, mastery of mind. You need to pay attention. What is my purpose? What are the core skills that I have? What is my area of strength? What areas do I want to be known for? What areas do I want to develop cutting-edge expertise? That when you mention my name in this 1-2 area, 2 days yesterday, the pastor said, nobody is king of everywhere. Every king has a kingdom. There must be a space where you are the king of. If we think of this space, your name must come to mind. That is mastery of self. Tell yourself, I will so build expertise and develop myself in this area that I will be the number 1 name in this space. That's mastery. What is my vision for the world? What do I want to do? How do I go and begin to develop? You can have a vision like Joseph, and this vision may take 15, 17, 20 years to get to achievement, but in the meantime, what do you need to be doing? Many years ago, I was having vision. People, prophetic word will come to me. Oh, David, nations will come to your wisdom. I'm like, which nations? This David. And I will go and pray. I'm like, but God, you said this. God, you said this. God, you said this. And God just kept telling me one word. Build competence. Build capacity. Build capacity. I mean, I was like, God, capacity for what exactly am I building? Show me the thing. Let me build capacity. But he just kept telling me, build capacity. Because when it starts, that's not when to start building capacity. You need to have been ready before the Goliath shows up. So when David was killing bear and killing lion, nobody was there. What was he doing? Building capacity. So the day he saw Goliath, like, no, now this one have been. We don't sabi. So people were like, where have you? Where were you? Where were you coming from? You were simply paying attention to yourself and building mastery. So you just show up on day one, and they just think there's no overnight success. Every overnight success, go and check. There's 10 years that nobody saw. When you were in the backside of the desert, building capacity, mastering yourself, mastering your skill. So this year, even if you won't get into the limelight yet, pay attention to yourself. Build mastery. That's domain number one. Number two domain, wealth and money. Need to understand money. Master how to make, manage, and multiply wealth. Because it doesn't matter what you're going to do. There's a factor that money will play. In fact, I'm going to share with you three journeys. But money is not when you finally have money, you start learning how money works. There are principles that guide the flow of money in our economy. You need to understand it. There are books you need to read that need to show you what is it about wealth, what is it about money. How do you understand this thing called money? And in your journey to making money, I used to share with my people, there are 3 bus stops. There are 3 levels in this journey of understanding wealth. Number 1 is getting rich. Number 2, staying rich. Number 3, staying sane while rich. Some of us are trying to get to bus stop number 1 first. Where we are now is, how do I even get rich first? Getting rich is escape Shakpa first. How do I leave this level and at least get to the point where I can pay my bills? Because if you can't pay your bills and you're not comfortable, there is a lot that has to do with vision and calling that you can't achieve. I tell people, survival is one of the greatest enemies of innovation. Yesterday we were told about innovation, you have ideas, you want to create something. Do you know the biggest enemy of innovation in Nigeria? Do you know how many of us have fantastic ideas? Why are we not pursuing it? Because you have to pay your rent. So you have to go and take a normal job, and that job is driven at survival. When you have sorted out survival, you'll be shocked the kind of things you can do. Somebody asked me this question one day, and just like Pastor said, you tell them, do you want the public answer or the private answer? Someone asked me, you built curriculum for 3 years, writing book that you're not selling. How did you stay on it for 3 years? Guess what I told him? You want to know the real answer? I was not hungry. That's it. If I had to survive and feed my children, I would have dumped that in since. The reason I was able to do that was because I had other things feeding me. So this for me was, now that I have sorted out poverty, I have sorted out rent, I'm not paying rent, I'm comfortable. Now I can now pursue execution of ideas. Many of the ideas that God has put in our head, the reason they are still undone is because there is a problem of number 1. You can agree with that. Many of us. So this is a necessity. It's not an option. You have to escape Shakpa. You have to get to a point where opportunities can be maximized because the resources to maximize them are there. Somebody shows you, oh, there's an opportunity here, and you can't even get there. You can't jump on a flight now and just show up tomorrow for a course that, this course will change your life. Or they put one small fee on it. The fee is 200,000. And because of the fee, you cannot attend. Yet, what you need for your next level is behind here. Number 1 is the bus stop blocking you. And if you will cross that level, there's a mindset you have to have. Whether you work or you run a business, there's an entrepreneurial mindset. And that mindset thinks in 3 ways. You think people, you think needs, you think numbers. People, needs, numbers. Why people? All the money in the world are in people's pocket. Money resides with people. So if you are trying to make money, you must understand that wherever there are people, there's what? That is why Lagos is still the capital of Nigeria in terms of economy. Because all the people are here. Wherever there are people, there is money. But needs, people don't pay you because they like your face. Why do they pay money? Because they have needs. So you must think around their needs. Everybody trusting God for a breakthrough. They say, oh God, I need money, I need a job, I need a better job. Go and check. It is because they want to live a better life. What does better life mean? Spending more money. So you live in one part of Lagos where they are renting house for 300K, and you are praying for next level. Your next level is to move to where they are renting house for 3 million. What have you simply done? Taking the money to go and give somebody else to solve a need. There's restaurants where food is 2K, and there's one where food is 10K. For you, next level is to be able to pay 10K for food. Simply spending more money. That's what we call change of level. So think around the needs of people. What are people's needs? There's something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You just go and study it and see how needs are arranged and think, what can I do? At the beginning, if you are trying to get to bus stop 1, that's not when to pursue passion. Pursue needs first. When you have sorted out poverty, then pursue passion. Go and check the billionaires. They are not pursuing passion. They are solving people's problems first. After they have made billions, then they pursue passion. There's a time to pursue passion. I'm not saying abandon your passion. But understand, you cannot pursue passion when you are hungry. So you must cross that bus stop. And then, needs, people needs and numbers. Why do I say numbers? You need to understand what's the economy like. What are the numbers? So if there are 20 million people in Lagos, how much does it take to feed one person a day? Let's say it is 1,000. I know it's not possible, but let's even say it is 1,000. 20 million by 1,000 is how much? That's 20 billion. It means that every day in Lagos, 20 billion circulates around food alone. In 30 days, that's what? 20 times 30. It's not 60. It's 600. Meaning 600 billion revolves around Lagos in the food sector alone. Thinking numbers, needs, and people makes you see that, oh boy. So if you say that I'm not seeing the money, it's simply because you are not positioned where the money is flowing. Go to education. Count how many children are in Lagos. Average school fees. You will see that money is circulating around education. And the money in education is not only in school fees. It's in plenty things. Books, school bag, school lunch, everything. It's to find yourself. How do I understand the numbers and the needs in the area I am? How do I position what I'm doing so that I can plug into the flow of resources? Recession is not real. It's artificial. Recession is simply a redirection of the flow of resources. So I've been standing here before. Money was coming here. And the money changes direction. And I don't move. Then recession has caught me. But if I understand where the money is moving and I move to where it is, no one at the recess. We there here. We simply move to where it is. So think that the second bus stop, after you have sorted out that issue of now you can pay your bills, the next issue is how do I stay rich? Stay rich is getting to a point where nothing can take you back to that former level. You know you can get rich and go back. But you need to get to a point, if your wealth and resources are possible to be reversed or to be truncated by one man's decision, you are still in bus stop 1. So if you earn 5 million a month, but there's one person who has the power to end it, your wealth is reversible. Oh. So how do you get to the point where you have entered number 2? And that's where you build systems. That's where you build diversification. Okay, how do I build systems whereby even if I'm not here, I have things making money for me? I mean, each of these ones are like classes on their own. How to understand those things. I'm just running through this. But understand, you need to get to that point. How do I get and stay rich? Then the last level, how do I stay sane in the midst of riches? There's kind of money that will come and it can make your head to start turning. How do I have access to God's resources and my head is not touching? That's where you need accountability, you need people, and that's why the issue of the heart. So the disciples we are talking about, that's if you have not dealt with issues of greed and contentment, when money comes, suddenly you think that you have become King Kong. But you need to have dealt with those issues, and one of the tools for dealing with greed is generosity. Once you become a generous person, you deal with that issue. So one of the ways to stay sane is, as the money is coming, you have created systems to make sure that it does not tie you down. So, but that's the second domain. So, while you are growing this year, pay attention to yourself, mastery. Second thing is what? Wealth and money. Third domain of growth this year, you should pay attention to voice, platforms, and visibility. How to master the science of getting, keeping, and converting attention. How do I master So God has given me a vision. How do I build mastery of my voice? How do I get my voice refined to a point where the world will listen to me? You have a message, but how do you pass that message to the world that you get their attention? The world has a finite level of attention. Every human being has only 24 hours. And so there's a mad rush for attention. Social media. Let me ask you this question. What is the product of social media? What product of social media sell? Content? You are missing the picture. No. Attention. Social media is an attention economy. Content is only a tool for getting attention. So you ask yourself, Facebook, Zuckerberg is rich. YouTube has $1 billion. What is giving them the money? Let me break it for you very simple. You know what they do? How do we get the attention of these 200 million Nigerians? Because once we have their attention, we can sell it. To get their attention, what do they like to see? Content that make them laugh. So they find some individuals who know how to make content. So they find Mr. Macaroni, they find Sabinus, they find Brain Jota, and say, we will pay you money as long as you give us content that hooks these people. So the content creators who are driving big gigs, where are they getting their money from? Those companies are paying them. Do they like them that much that they're just giving them money for making content? There's a business model behind it. The more you make content that hooks people, the more they pay you. Just keep giving us. You that is hooked, you don't have work, but sit down, let's entertain you. As you are being entertained, when they are in the middle of the entertainment, they sell your attention in portions to companies who are selling products. They call it ads. So you want to advertise, you want to show your product to 50 million people in Nigeria, we have them. Pay us money, we'll show them. And they just put it in the middle of those things you like. That is an economy. If you don't understand the economy, you can't play in the economy. So if you are not going to be the product, if you're not going to be the one whose attention they are selling, you need to understand how to master the science. There's a science behind attention. There's a science behind going viral. You don't just go viral on social media by accident. There's a science behind it. There's data that shows you the kind of things that hook people. And all of those things. Those are the kind of books, if you want to get to level 3, you've mastered self, mastered money. If you run business at this level, understand the science. What are the platforms? How do I get visibility? How do I get my products to the places where the people who matter will see them? That's number 3. And then number 4, people, networks, and relationships. 4th domain. Master the art of leveraging people. How do I get into people's lives? How do I build favor with people, with men? How do I become liked by men? How do I get people to be my ambassadors? How do I get people to refer me to other people? Is there a science behind it? How do I get into relationships and I'm not truncating all my friendships and relationships? How do I convert all the people in my life? Most of us are not making use of 1% of the network that we have. There's almost no problem in your life that the answer is not in your phone book. How? Even if it's not in your phone book. They also say you are 4 contacts away from anybody in the world. Abi? It does not matter who the person is. You know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. By number 4, you have reached anybody in the world. There's a science behind it. These are the skills. When you master it and you can deploy them in the right direction, it's impossible for your life to be understood. People just think that there's a jazz you are using, but it's just their house. This is how this thing works. So you master yourself, master money, master voice and platforms. Because why platforms are important? In this age, this is the age of thought leadership. So our brother who was talking about hydroponic farming yesterday, beyond doing the farm, thought leadership is an entire domain on its own. Being an authority in a space, how do I speak in this space that I am the one to be looked forward to, people look out for me? And once you have thought leadership, you can cash out from many other angles, books, courses, coaching programs, so many things. So that mastery, voice, these are things you can't miss. And as I round off now, I'm going to just recommend a few books for you in these areas. I saw that some of the books are actually, there are a few books that are recommended that are outside. That first book, Your Best Year Ever, Michael Hyatt, if you're trying to get out of that mental blockade, you're trying to change the way you think, your mind and everything, trying to say, okay, how do I go from a scarcity mentality to start thinking abundance, start thinking, that book will help you. Your Best Year Ever, Michael Hyatt. That second book, The Science of Getting Rich, I don't know why that book has not been popular. Anyway, you know, as I say, our generation is very shallow. That book was written in 1913. It's not a recent book. It's over 100 years old. By the way, if you're looking for depth of knowledge, go way back. The further back into history you go, the more depth you find in books. Pay attention. Did you hear Pastor saying Orthodox Bible? The depth in Orthodox Bible, the one. If you're looking for depth, the books. One day I was reading a classic. I think it was St. Francis of Assisi or something. These are books you can't read in a hurry. I was reading the book. After every paragraph, you have to pause and think about your life. And I was in the middle of reading that book, and a friend sent me his book and said, please, Dave, help me to proofread my manuscript. I'm like, okay, I will help you. So after I had gotten tired of this guy that I just struggled with 2 pages and the things hitting my head were already too much, I opened my friend's book. I read 3 pages. I'm like, what is this guy trying to say? I've not understood the concept he's trying to communicate in 3 pages. I'm like, so for me, the depth and shallowness was so deep. I'm like, no. Actually, it's one of the things I've not written a book. Because I just told myself, I'm not going to write a book if I have not understood what I'm writing about. So if you're asking me why I've not written books yet, because I have read depth, I've read shallow, I'm telling myself, I cannot be shallow. The science of getting rich. Please, if you want to understand money, if you want to have a different psychology of money, look for that book. You may find the e-copy, the EPUB, because it's that old. You may not find the print copy. If you read this book, you will look for me this year. I cannot explain it. There are some books you can't explain. You see that number 2? Please, look for that book and read. If you're struggling with distractions, you're struggling with getting results, especially if you work in the knowledge economy, you are in tech, you do work that has to do with your mind and you create things, Deep Work is a book you must read. I saw it in the bookshelf this morning, in the bookstand. Deep Work, it's called, what's the subtitle again? I mean, it's a book, all my staff have read the book. Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. Rules for focused success in a distracted world. One of the biggest problems we have is that social media, that phone that's doing twing, that notifications. The thesis of this book is that your mind works like a speedometer. As you start concentrating, your mind goes from 0 to like 80 miles per hour. The quality of work you do when your mind is at 20% concentration and at 80% concentration are not the same. You do higher quality work when you are more focused. And sometimes, as you are at 80% and you just hear twing and you check your phone, you think you will just go and come back to 80. No, you will start from 0 again. So most of us operate at a very shallow level. We never do deep work. We don't do quality work. That's why your work can easily be replaced. You write a proposal and there's no... They read it and they're like, what's this? Just the same. When you do deep work, you produce high quality work. People will stand and say, who is this guy? Where did this guy do this work from? And then number 4, still same guy, Michael Hyatt, platforms get noticed in a noisy world. So that number 4. It's a step-by-step guide for anyone with something to say or sell. Now, the last book on that page, if you are in business, please. Now, this book is a problem because it's no longer available in Nigeria. I have looked for it. I have a copy that I don't give anymore out. The Prosperity Paradox, how innovation can lift nations out of poverty. If you run a business, should I kneel down and beg you? Look for this book. If you run a business, it's going to change the way you see business. Business is not just to make money. I mean, how innovation can lift nations out of poverty. It will do something in your mind that I cannot explain unless you read it. The e-copy should be available somewhere by Clayton Christensen and then Efosa Ijomo and somebody else. And if you are the visual kind of person, okay, you don't read all of that. One documentary, if you're in business, The Men Who Built America. Some of you have probably seen it. Look for that documentary. If you've not watched it, it's available online. You understand how the men who built America. But these books, I recommend them. Go read them. It's been a beautiful pleasure talking to you over these 3 days. And Pastor, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, and God bless you.